Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Saw 7 or Saw 7 The Final Chapter or Saw 3D starring Tobin Bell, Costas Mandylor, Betsy Russell, Sean Patrick Flannery, and Carrie Elways, barely, and directed by Kevin Grutert. Now, I remember this movie coming out in movie theaters, and the fact that it was in 3D was really neat. Just honestly, very neat. And I've seen a lot of movies in 3D, and I saw this, and I watched it in 3D for my final time, and let's get into it, whether I like the movie or not. We open the movie seconds after Saw 1, where Carrie Elways is Dr. Lawrence Gordon crawling bleeding out to death until he puts his leg on the steam pipe to cure his leg. What a terrible way to open the film. Another terrible way to start a movie, we have Brad and Ryan in a public trap to see who will win a woman named Dina's love. And my problem with that sequence is Jigsaw never goes public, and that always bothered me half to death. And we have to see blood and guts spit out of Dina to remind the audience that this is a 3D movie. For the 3D effects, just chugged into your mouth. We also pick up where Saw 6 left off, with Jill Tuck almost killing Hoffman, but Hoffman manages to escape and tries to get stuff to make stitches. Meanwhile, Jill hides at a spot when Hoffman is nearby. The problem with that is it was at a point where Hoffman could have seen her, and yet he's too stupid to look. And then he stitches his face, which I can't handle that at all. I would never do that to myself. Jill goes to a new guy named Gibson, who had a dark past with Hoffman, with Gibson being attacked by a homeless man and Hoffman shoots him down without reading him his Miranda rights to protect Gibson, and took down 3 of his guys before Saw 3 ever happened, and has a grudge on Gibson. And I understand the reason why they hate each other, but that was a terrible plot for Hoffman to kill Gibson and Jill by the end of it. Bobby Dagan is the protagonist, who lied about being in a trap before he actually goes through one in this movie. Made me not like the character at all. I am going to put it out there. This character I just don't like, and I'm going to keep saying why as we get into this review. Chester from Lincoln Park, who also died earlier this year, plays Evan, the racist, with his girlfriend and 2 of his friends get killed. Now that scene was actually tragic for me, because I'm a Lincoln Park fan, and the way that scene does pain me to watch Chester die in real life and from a car crash in a junkyard as a trap. Just fucking bullshit and terrible. Just leave the poor guy alone. Carrie Elways is Dr. Gordon resurrected with his British accent that was slipping out of the end of Saw 1, and that's how he fucking talks? Like, did this director not watch Saw 1? Just made no fucking sense. Bobby's first test is seeing if he can escape the spikes, and has 60 minutes to get his wife and his last trap, and I honestly could not care less, because he lies about being in a jigsaw trap, and I'm calling bullshit, and I just do not like the character. And this is why I'm going to keep telling you guys, I just don't like this fucking character. Jill is at a safe house by Gibson, and Hoffman finds out where she's at, and I thought, how fucking convenient. He used to be a cop, for fuck's sakes. How stupid is Gibson? I mean, seriously. Bobby's second test is his publicist Nina has a fish hook in her body, and the more she screams, the closer the sharp objects go toward her. And he only has 1 minute to get the fucking key out of her chest or body. Like, good Christ, these traps are really hard to pull off. Just really. The flashback where Bobby meets John, and John knows he's lying and talks to him about history, and about how he was never in a trap. And I know John isn't fucking around, because I like him more than Bobby at this point, and I'm going to just stop right there. Bobby's third test is Suzanne. His lawyer has 60 seconds to do as the test says, or else her face is poked out. And same with her eyes. And Bobby tries to lift something, and at the same time he's poking himself, or else the machine pokes her eyes out, which happens to be honestly Jigsaw or Hoffman at this point is leaving people bleed the fuck out. Like, what? He wants to hurt people so fucking badly is a poor judgment call. Bobby's fourth test is his best friend Kale, who is blinded, and he gets the key for his freedom, and he gets 60 seconds. And I personally think Scary Movie 4, every time they say 60 seconds, I feel like Scary Movie 4 is responsible for saying 60 seconds. Before Saw 3 ever came into movie theaters. But Kale dies anyways, and I still don't like Bobby, this will be the last time, I promise, for giving someone who's a key just by throwing it at him and doesn't catch it. Like, what a waste. Bobby's fifth test is actually a good judgment call by pulling his two corner top teeth in order to get a code to open a door. Finally, a good win-win situation for fucking once. While Bobby's sixth and final test, when he puts two hooks on his chest and loses that situation, and Gibson gets killed off by a machine gun, and Hoffman captures and kills off Jill in three different versions of bad screenwriting. And not only that, Lawrence is the new Jigsaw and puts Hoffman in the dirty bathroom from Saw 1, and ending was so fucking stupid. Now, before I get to my recommendation, I just gotta say something right now. Why the fuck is this movie called The Final Chapter? I'm calling bullshit because of next week's movie. Alright? Just don't call it The Final Chapter, for crying out loud. Just call it Saw 3D or Saw 7. Whatever. Just don't call it The Final Chapter. Now here's the rating. I'll give this movie a 1.7 out of 10. Easily the worst one in the series, and this really jumped the fucking shark. The events and acting in this movie is absolutely horrible, and I never want to watch this movie ever again. So I'm concerned for next week's movie, to be clear. Because, am I going to like it? Probably not. That's my fear. But I'll talk about that more next week. And I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for Saw 7. And until next time, live or die, make your choice.